Don in London, hello, November 23rd, 2009. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My substance, alcohol, my behaviour, which went with it, compulsive and obsessive, workaholic, relationshipaholic, all the isms that one can possibly imagine when we're trying to fill a gap inside, and we don't even know we've got a gap. There's just something not quite right. So if we strive for perfection, striving for perfection rather than progress in living our lives, then we often find we feel like we're less than, not achieving enough, less than other people, less than anything you can possibly imagine. So we have to keep on striving and striving and striving, and that's based on my self-will, and self-will got me into all sorts of trouble. Also got me into places of joyfulness and happiness, but they were short-lived because I was still striving for perfection. And what took the edge off all those feelings of less than and fear and putting on a brave face and ego covering it all up was alcohol, or doing things to excess. So these days I found there is a sort of middle road between trying to be perfect and trying not to do anything at all because of fear, and that is simply to live one day at a time and be in recovery from the addiction that will always afflict me. Alcoholism or addiction to anything is a disease. It's an illness, and once we realise that we are trying to overcome something which it cannot be overcome, all we can do is make sure we keep safe, make better choices one day at a time. And the trouble with a disease like addiction, it wants us isolated, alone, and thinking in our own heads. And the more we think inside ourselves, without taking reference from others, excluding other inputs, then the more we stick with the addiction. So these days, how do I keep sober? Or how did I ever get there? Well, if it hadn't been for family, community, professionals, I would never have got the number of moments of clarity I needed to actually say, I cannot do this on my own. I cannot beat addiction. What I can do is live with it and be in recovery. So the difference is, these days, I don't drink one day at a time. I try not to obsess one day at a time. I try not to be self-obsessed and in that place of darkness. And what brings me out into a more interesting and joyful place, and what keeps me on track, is a fellowship and family and friends and community. So all the ingredients to be included in life rather than excluding myself and excluding people from my inner world of torment and pain. So these days it's not so painful, and there are convivial moments now and joyful moments now, which then make up days and days and days, and then it goes on. But the focus is always on one day. So the fellowship which helps me do that is Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't speak for it, but I speak a lot about it, because it really is about being included, being a part of, being unique and authentic always to one's own values and beliefs. So nothing is taken away by the fellowship, and we're not indoctrinated into being a dogmatic person or full of dogma or whatever you might think it might be. It's simply a way of being unique and authentic. So with anonymity, we get the opportunity to find our truth, and anonymity affords the opportunity to find truth on a daily basis. That's what the rooms of AA do for me. So when I share here, I share about me and my recovery, and I'm a unique, authentic person, I hope, and other people are also unique and authentic in the fellowship, and they speak for themselves where they choose. So for me, I've always been out there. It was one of those things. Anonymity was never ever going to be part of my story. Why? Well, that's a long story too, but I won't go into that now. I share literature here about what are the 12 steps and what is recovery and what is the fellowship of AA and why does it work for me. So I always share the statement of intent of what AA is, or the AA preamble, which is shared at every meeting of AA I go to, and it goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So the primary reason I do these videos is to share the message that fellowship provides the opportunity to stop drinking, and then share the message with other people. So that's my raison d'etre, if you like, for doing these videos. And for people who just can't get to meetings, that was the main reason I did them in the first place, and it's really stuck with me over the last year or two doing them. And in the literature, the Daily Reflections book, which I use here, it's all about step 12, which is step 11, November, and it's all about prayer and meditation and how it can help in our lives. So whether you believe in God, don't believe in God, you're an atheist, agnostic or believer, prayer and meditation will work, because it's a reflection and a meditation about now, and it's not all about us. So that's what it gives me, and that's step 11 really, but more on that another day. For the reading today, November 23rd, it says, hold your face to the light. Believe more deeply. Hold your face up to the light, even though for the moment you do not see. And it goes on to say, one Sunday in October, during my morning meditation, I glanced out of the window at the ash tree in the front of our front yard. At once I was overwhelmed by its magnificent golden colour, as I stared in awe at God's work of art. The leaves began to fall, and within minutes the branches were bare. Sadness came over me as I thought of the winter months ahead. But just as I was reflecting on autumn's annual process, God's message came through. Like the trees, stripped of their leaves in the fall, sprout new blossoms in the spring. I had had my compulsive, selfish ways removed by God, in order for me to blossom into a sober, joyful member of AA. Thank you, God, for the changing seasons and for my ever-changing life. And when I look at that, it is about the changing seasons of life, and that, we are always in renewal. We let go things, we include things. So the whole process of life is about letting go and letting new opportunities into our lives. We don't let go of those things which are important to us, like to love, be loved, and have something useful to do. We hold on to what is good for us and let go what we cannot do anything about. And certainly we let go of the compulsions and obsessions to be perfect, hopefully. So, as Bill sees it for today, another one, you can read as many pages a day as you like, just to calm one down into the moment. It says, page 266, give thanks. Though I still find it difficult to accept today's pain and anxiety with any great degree of serenity, as those more advanced in the spiritual life seem to do, I can give thanks for present pain nevertheless. I find the willingness to do this by contemplating the lessons learned from past suffering, lessons which have led to blessings I now enjoy. I can remember how the agonies of alcoholism, the pain of rebellion and thwarted pride, had often led me to God's grace, and so to a new freedom. And yet pain causes growth sometimes, or most often we get a bit painful, because when we were kids it wasn't painful, we just kept on learning. We fell over, we got up, we fell over, we got up, and we did it with a happy face, hopefully. But some of us then got very unhappy and got fearful about life because it just didn't seem to work. But now, one day at a time, it does. So the ultimate prayer of meditation for me is always the acceptance prayer of serenity, and it's to the God of your understanding, or to your good conscience, or to your higher power, whatever that may be. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference is always for me, just for today.